And yes, that's a good reminder. Josh will be recording this, and I'll get the I'll get it later today, and we will put it out there for people to view if you missed it, or you just want to see it again, or you want to share it with some of your colleagues. So with that, I will let Bill take over.
Great, thank you. Can everybody see my screen so far?
Yes.
I hope. Good. Okay, great. Bill Wetzel with Cyclomedia, the Midwest account manager for the Midwest territory. A lot of familiar faces or names on here. Would love to see your faces at some point here, so maybe we can do that. But I know there's a lot of bandwidth that gets taken over with video and sharing screens and everything like that. But good to see everybody on. Thank you very much for having me here today. Happy GIS Day to everybody. What I wanted to talk about a little bit today was the multi-purpose use of street level imagery. I've been with Cyclomedia now for about 6-7 months. And it's an interesting solution that we provide to local government jurisdictions. So it's kind of what I want to cover today is kind of give an overview of street level imagery. You probably used it in the past or recreationally. I want to talk about the solutions and how a lot of street level imagery is deployed. Talk about some use cases. I've got project references, but I think I hid them. I can always go back and talk about those. I kind of wanted to keep this a little bit more open rather than a sales pitch. So I'll try to do that as best I can. And then we're talking about some integrations that exist out there with some companies that have integrated street level imagery into their applications. So hopefully that sounds pretty cool. And we'll go from there, okay? Any questions at this point? All right. So there's really an evolution going on with imagery and remote sensing. A lot of people here are used to the ortho view, either from satellite or aircraft or even drone technology. For those of you, and I know all across Iowa, a lot of you are Eagle View users. So you get that oblique, that aerial oblique perspective. One of the perspectives that I feel is very powerful and kind of up and coming is that street level perspective, and all of the assets and features that you can identify from that perspective that you have on a daily basis when you're walking down the street or driving down the road. What is that perspective, and how does that perspective get you, and how can you use it to support your workflows? I will do a little quiz here. Does anybody know where this is at? Put it in the chat. Or Billy, nice job. It's City Hall in Philadelphia. Very nice. I'll try to do that on occasion here. I got a bunch of different screenshots and things in here in my death by PowerPoint today. So it really just gives you that third perspective, that human, that ground level perspective to see the features that you see in your jurisdiction. Can I make this go away? Are you guys seeing this thing across the top?
No.
Okay, good. So street level imagery really is imagery captured at the ground level. This can be vehicle based. I've seen devices that can be strapped to your back on a backpack, or even maybe captured through a mobile device. A lot of times, street level imagery, LiDAR is captured at the same time. And a lot of this is deployed through a web-based or a SaaS-based application, a SaaS-based application. So many of you are probably very familiar with Google Street View. Yes, hopefully. Anybody know where this is at? This one's probably going to be a little harder.
That's not Minneapolis, is it?
Nope. Close.
Milwaukee, someone says.
Milwaukee. It is. This is actually City Hall, downtown Milwaukee.
Steven got that,
Actually,
baby.
it's right there. It says Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Google Street View. For those of you that are maybe not familiar with what street level imagery looks like, you might have seen Google Street View. Microsoft has a product. I think it's street level or street. I forget the name of it, what they call it, but they've got a street level component as well to their through their Bing map, through their Bing. And then this would be an example of a third party, the Cyclomedia Street Smart application. So this is what a user would experience. One of our clients' users, this is what they would experience in looking at the imagery in the base map. As you can see, there's a lot of features there that you can visualize through the imagery, and with the simultaneous capture of LiDAR, the measurement capabilities are enhanced with a lot of these third-party applications. If you're familiar with Microsoft or Google, one of the key things that you can't really do in those solutions is take measurements. You can view pretty nicely, but really taking those measurements or extracting features out of that imagery and that LiDAR data set is really not possible unless you guys are pretty talented GIS folks. Maybe you guys have figured it out. And also to kind of show the same perspective is here's a screenshot within our application that shows not only the imagery but also the color LiDAR that can be available to users as well. So the web Saas solution, it's easy to deploy, it's very easy to use. Most of the imagery deployed through these solutions, there usually is an image date and time stamp, a date stamp at least. Sometimes you've got to dig for it, particularly in the Google and the Microsoft solutions. You can find it, but you've got to sometimes dig for it. If an area has been driven multiple times, captured multiple times, then you can have access to historical imagery. Multiple years, very much like multiple years of orthophotography or oblique imagery. You're usually, because there's GPS being captured at the same time, you know the exact location of that image capture point, and you know the Z value of the camera and therefore the Z value of any pixels or the features that you can extract out of the imagery as well. So different measurement types that are possible within third-party solutions, point locations, distance, surface. You can do orthogonal measurements. You can do height measurements as well. Accuracy is within 2 to 4 centimeters, and you can also calculate changes in slope. You can change slope angles. You can get accuracy measurements as well. Throughout these tools as well. Any questions so far? Nope. Okay, we'll keep going. And from our perspective, street level imagery can be used by not just any single one department, but can be deployed and support your entire organization. And that's kind of what I'll go through in some of my use cases here. A lot of the street level imagery projects that I've researched and identified with over the last few months have been very geared towards public works, transportation. We have clients that within some of our larger jurisdictions where over 25 different departments are using the imagery on a daily basis. And that can go from tax assessment, public safety, community development, GIS, to visualize that street level perspective that everybody's used to, and provides a different perspective. All right, a couple use cases here. So obviously local government, that's my space that I work into. So dealing with a lot of folks like that are on the call today that work in local government, and all of the different departments that street level imagery can support. There's quite a list there. So I'm just going to step through a couple of specific examples here. Talked a little bit ago, just a minute ago, about how it supports public works. And basically with street level imagery, and LiDAR, you can capture any asset that you can identify within the road right-of-way. And here's just a pretty decent list of all of the different features that can be captured. This can be done from the comfort of your office instead of sending crews out into the field. You don't have to block lanes of traffic to measure and capture these assets in the right-of-way. We drive it, typically they're driven, imagery is captured at typical driving speeds, processed and then returned back within a few weeks. So there's a lot of different, again, a lot of different features that can be extracted straight from the imagery, and then the LiDAR enhances the measurement capabilities. So just as a couple examples, street signs and structures. Obviously, you can get the location and the elevation. You can get MUTCD codes. You can get the face of the street or the sign direction, and you can even get attributes about the structure. Is it wood? Is it metal? What is its height? Those types of things. And you can see here that we've got in the three-dimensional in our street viewer that's showcased here. You can actually see the elevation of either the traffic light or the street sign in its three-dimensional environment within the imagery. ADA ramps are very popular features to be capturing these days. We've done some work with several jurisdictions on identifying and inventorying ADA ramps. Not only can we identify where those are at across your jurisdiction, but we can also do measurements of those ramp dimensions and slope calculations as well. Down a couple of clients down along the coast where their flooding is has a significant impact even on a daily basis with storm surges or tide fluctuations. Using the LiDAR data, you can actually evaluate what areas or how high an area might flood. You can also use this to map out first floor elevations, which are very critical for public safety and assessment purposes. You need to know what the lowest elevation is of a front door for those purposes. And a lot of or several asset management clients have integrated this with several asset management platforms like CityWorks and Cartograph. Property assessment, which is one of another large user of street level imagery. IAAO has a mass appraisal for real property standard, and the imagery can support that mass appraisal standard for remote desktop review. You can do visual inspection, you can do conditions and ratings, not only of houses, but you can do this for any structure that you might be able to visualize within the imagery. We've got there's some Department of Transportation, statewide Department of Transportation clients that use this for condition of guardrails. You can also do feature measurement, and there's typically a date timestamp on all imagery. You can create static cutouts to upload into a administrative system, a CAMA system, maybe a website. You can look at multiple views. You can look at historical imageries if you have multiple drives. You can use this for damage assessments, and several jurisdictions have integrated this with their tax, CAMA property tax, and or web sites as well. In a little while, I'll show you a couple of examples of that. NG911, public safety. You can actually use this to address or verify, map or verify addresses, as you can see here in the screenshot. You can zoom in really tight on building structures and identify their address location. A lot of public safety will use this for situational awareness when they're en route to on a call. They can bring up the street level imagery to see the layout of a building, of a structure, and they can get it from that street level perspective, not just from an ortho or an oblique layer, but they can get it from a street level perspective. A lot of jurisdictions will use this for disaster planning and recovery, and even site accessibility. Some jurisdictions have integrated this with their dispatch system as well. Planning and development, you can use this to enforce your any code enforcement workflows that you have. Maybe instead of driving around, maybe it's snowing out or raining out or something, you can't get out, or COVID, you can't get out into the field and you want to do your drive-by, you can use street level imagery to view any violations. A lot of planning development will use this for streetscapes, creating digital twins. And there are a few jurisdictions that have integrated this with their permitting and code enforcement work order systems as well. Parks and Rec, you can use this for street tree inventory. This example right here is from the city of New York on their street tree inventory. They've actually tied the their street level imagery to their street tree inventory map. So when you select on a tree, you can actually see the picture, the 360-degree view of the tree from within their application. We've got clients that use this to map out bike and pedestrian lanes, graffiti and street art, and our parent company is based in the Netherlands, and there's a few jurisdictions over in Europe that will actually track and map out any debris or garbage and use that to help clean up the city. Transportation. Departments will use this, statewide transportation departments will use this for highway safety, maintenance, asset management, transportation planning, and there's even some discussions going on about tying this into ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems, so that they can see real-time access. They can see that perspective with their real-time intelligent transportation systems. Again, right-of-way inventory, just a few examples here. You get the location, the condition, the materials, and as I mentioned earlier, there's several transportation departments that are using this to do those types of data collection for guardrails. Pavement assessment is a very unique and interesting approach. You can actually see and map out the distresses within the different types of pavement, either concrete or asphalt. You can then use this to support any segment ratings, and even use this to support a full pavement condition index analysis as well. The last one, I believe, for the transportation is vertical clearance. Because we capture street level LiDAR, we can actually take measurements of underneath structures. In this case, it's bridges. We can do multiple lanes, single lane, multiple directions, shoulders. And those are just a few of the types of one example of a vertical clearance that you can use street level imagery and LiDAR for. Communications and utilities are large users of street level imagery as well. Again, asset inventory, identifying your network infrastructure. You can visually see a pole and describe what is on that pole even without going out into the field. You can do an audit of all the attachments that are hanging off of that. We've got a client, I believe it's City of New York, that uses the street level technology to verify what devices or attachments are on a particular pole or a particular structure, and they will actually fine certain companies if they've gone out without a permit to hang almost like a wireless or a cellular device, a cellular sensor on a particular structure, and if they don't have a permit for it, then they can go back and gather that revenue. A lot of our utility clients are using this for vegetation management, and you can even do vertical clearance of the wires and lines as well.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
This is Paula. Hi.
Hey.
I was wondering how far off of the road is imagery captured? You know, is it 25 feet? Because you said in the right of way, but then
So
it also goes up to the front of a house.
Well, the imagery you can see as far back as you can. It's just the measurement degrades the further away you get from the sensor. So that's
Okay.
really what can degrade further away from the capture point.
So
And
what's really good though is there a like, okay, it's always going to be good for 50 feet and then it might degrade a little more. You must have some kind of.
yeah, it's usually, so the imagery is pretty clear. I mean, it does degrade with any image. The further an object further away, you're just not going to, it's not going to be as clear. So objects closer are going to be more clear. We start seeing degradation in measurements, particularly with the LiDAR, just because it's farther away. You start seeing it at about 80 to 100 meters.
Oh, well, that's really far. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right. Any other questions before I head on? Nope. Okay. So we'll talk about some integrations here. Really, the big thing is getting street level imagery out into the hands of people so that they can use it on a daily basis and to support their workflows that they want to do. So several integrations are in place. And for the GIS crowd here, imagery can be integrated into Esri's ArcGIS desktop so that you can actually see from any of the information and data that's captured that you have, you can actually see and visualize that inside the three-dimensional imagery as well. There's also an integration for ArcGIS Pro. And looks like I don't have a graphic for that one. I should have, but this is the city of Philadelphia, and this is built within Esri's Arcgis Online or Enterprise Technology, and they've integrated street level imagery into their application. Sorry about that screw up there. So with the integration with a lot of the Esri platform, several other companies have integrated street level imagery into their products and solutions. Schneider, through their Beacon and QPublic websites, have integrated street level imagery into not only to their map, but also into their reporting. So instead of a static image being uploaded and saved to this report, this is actually a live dynamic 360-degree image that you can navigate around in within their reporting side. Eagle view as well. Not only do you get the oblique perspective, but you also get that street level perspective as well. Sidwell's Portico. Tyler Technologies. This is their Canvas. This is their their public-facing CAMA solution. Yeah, from their CAMA perspective, this is their public-facing.
Hey, Bill, that's a great example, but you kind of picked an ugly house, dude.
Yeah, sorry, somebody else gave this to me. Not everybody lives in McMansions, so we got to show everything. But yeah, that's a pretty ugly house, but that also can go to show how you can do that condition and or rating data collection from a street level image as well. So thank you for that. It's a nice tie-in. Patriot Properties. also integrated with their camera system. This is, believe, their internal solution that their clients use. Esri Canada, assessment analyst. Cartograph. This actually, because it's, I believe this is, this will actually launch. So when you click the green S, the green and white S, that will launch the Saas application from within the Cartograph app, So I don't know if you've got any Cartograph users out there. Few? Thumbs up for Cartograph users? Okay. Wolpert Data Cloud. This is an assessment solution. It's integrated with their mobile application as well. So this image here on the left is a dynamic 360-degree image. And finally, there's a mobile app that's Android or Apple based, where you can view street level imagery and then even take and upload pictures, panoramas, and videos up through the mobile application into a larger project, so that not only so other users can see that as well. So a good example would be there's some construction here in front of Wrigley Field. At the time this image was taken, if you were to go there now and take a picture, you could have a recent image without the construction, or maybe something that's changed. So that's just something that you would use between drive captures. So any questions or comments? I do have a few minutes. Would you guys like to see I'm not the best demoer in the world, but I got a few minutes. I could show off the
Bill, this is Micah. I think it'd be great to do kind of a demo, you know, to really kind of see just how the functionality, or at least
Okay.
maneuvering around in it, works.
Perfect.
You
All right.
definitely have time.
Okay, yeah. So well, how much time you have? I got about another 15 minutes or so?
15, 20 minutes, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, again, I'm not the best demo jock in the world on this stuff. I know enough to be dangerous.
Jeff
So I got a
Lewis
question.
was asking, how does the data collection work?
So data collection. So data collection is we have a sensor on top of the vehicle. You see the vehicle right here. You can actually see a shadow of our sensor here on the ground. So we capture 5 images every 5 meters, front, back, left, right, and vertical. We capture that with LiDAR and a GPS point every 5 meters. That's what the green marker locations are. Those are called capture points. So, and that's how you can then navigate around the image. Zooming in and zooming out.
Hey, Bill, can you hear me?
And then you can move forward and back along these capture locations.
Can you hear me?
Say that again.
Bill, can you hear me? How does like
Yeah.
the GIS collection work when you talked about like collecting the different assets? How does that work within your software maybe?
So we've got an internal solution where we have automated processes that will capture specific assets. And then we have a complete crew of data extraction analysts that will either verify or further enhance what characteristics are going to be captured for a particular asset. So say, for example, you want to capture street signs.
So you guys capture that in the process. The client doesn't have to go back in and say, "Oh, there's a sign here."
You sound a little distant. Sorry.
Is that better?
A little bit.
How did the So you guys, if you wanted to do street signs, you guys capture that at those assets when you're driving. It's not the client going back and saying, hey, there's a sign here, there's a sign there.
Well, we prefer to do it, but we can actually train clients to do it themselves. And it actually, there's integration points with Arcgis Online and Arcgis Enterprise to where you can add in a feature layer and save data right into a feature layer.
Okay, cool.
So if you wanted to capture like these street signs, so I'll get into doing some measurement tools here. Oh, so couple things. So obviously you've got imagery. Here we can, when we start measuring, I'll do a quick point location here, a point measurement, and we'll just do the front of this sign. And so that dropping the point on that sign, it gives me an XY location and a Z value. Okay, that may not have been the greatest Z location to measure out, but anyway, we can measure that because we have from the LiDAR data set, we create a depth surface. And I think this is really cool. It shows the surface to measure off of. And then I'm going to drop out of that. And then you can also, this is view. This might take a second. Of course, it's not working right now. Oh, there it is. Here it comes. And you can also view the point cloud as well. And again, I've got a lot of things going on here, so it may not be drawing very well. There we go. Let's go up here. So you can also view that. So with the combination of what you see in the image and the LiDAR point cloud and depth surface, you get very accurate measurements. You can actually change this to be intensity value. Maybe. Again, I got a lot going on here. Yeah, it's not drawing like I wanted. There we go. So just different ways to view that that LiDAR point cloud in an easy application to view it. So let's see here. Where's another good place to go? Oh, let's go up here. I'm looking for. Let's go back. I'm going to go back a little bit. Sorry. Again, not a good demo. Let's go right here. Oh, there's a car in the way. Let's try this one. Okay. We talked a little bit about ADA ramps and measurements there. So several ways to collect data is you can anytime. So you'll see information be gathered and collected over here as I make measurements. So I'm going to drop a point there. There. And it's jumping wide. Let's try this. Oh, try that again. Oops. Oh, it does not like that. I'm a little off here, but you'll see. So you can see that there's all the different measurements between each of the different points I captured. you can actually see the change in the angle, the length and the angle, but you can also hover on these triangles in between the points that I've captured that tell you the slope angle, slope percentage, and the change and the change in value. And all of those can be captured as attributes within an asset if you were measuring ADA ramps. Not sure how many of you have measured ADA ramps or not. Let's see. I don't have any asset databases, so unfortunately I can't show you that, or the add-ins to any of the Esri products. I'm sorry, but what I can show are a couple of other integrations through websites. Again, City of Philadelphia. Let's just zoom in here. So now you can see not only the base map, you can see the oblique imagery, and you can see the street level perspective as well.
Bill?
Yes.
Hi, this is Paula again.
Hey.
Mason City has had Cyclomedia for years, and I wondered if Steven's still on here, because I don't know all what they use it for, but I wonder if they're using it for something over there that you haven't shown yet, or something that he wants to highlight with what you have shown.
Danielle's my main point of contact over at the city, and she's using it to verify assets within Public Works. And I know that she's got planning department and I believe fire, public safety, fire or police using it as well.
Hi, Paula. This
Support
is
their
Steven.
operations.
Okay, Steven's in planning.
I came on because I'm not using it at my desktop very much. I want to learn more about it because I know we can use it to greater advantage. But yes, Danielle is doing a bang up job using it for the things that Bill mentioned. So we just want to expand our ability to take advantage of those features.
By all means, love to. Yeah, there's.
Thank you.
So this is the integration within the Schneider Q Public site, very similar to your guys' beacon. But the nice thing here is instead of a static image that's being uploaded, you've got dynamic imagery. And if there happens to be something kind of blocking the way within some administrative tools, you can go in and just reposition it and get a different perspective as well. Let me see. I got a couple of others here. Let me show this one. Oh, I do have something I can show you. So here, this is the City of New York and their street tree inventory. So when you select on a particular tree, you've got the street. That's a bad tree shot. There, he actually zooms and changes to the location of that street tree inventory and of that particular tree. Let's see here. Let me do one more. Do I have it? Ah, here we go. I think this is yep. So this is an Arcgis Online solution. We did this little project out in California. So you see all the different assets that have been captured from within the imagery. And then when you launch the the viewer, the street level viewer. Jump over here. You can actually see the assets within the imagery as well. And then because we've got because there's an integration with the Esri solutions, you can actually have subtypes and domains embedded into the feature class, into the geodatabase, that then can be updated and maintained as well. So you can either have, so back to Jeff, your question, I believe it was Jeff, is data extraction something that we do? Yes, because it's also something that the client can do, and that's a yes as well. So that was, again, not a very good demo, Jock. So any other questions or something else you'd like to see? I'm at a quarter till here, so I can take time for a few questions.
How many clients do you have in Iowa or in the Midwest
Right
here?
now, I have 2 clients in Iowa, Mason City, and they've been a client for a couple of years. I believe they've done at least 2 or 3 drives over the span of 4 or 5 years, and then Dubuque County through the county engineer. And we're going to be driving again for him this spring.
Asset management, I assume.
Asset management, yes.
Okay.
And also the city of, I believe the city of Dyersville jumped on board with that project as well.
I'm nodding my head like you can see me.
So we've got a few clients spread around the U.S. and hoping to get more. So we'll just
Holy
drop
cow.
into.
Go back. Is that all of Kansas?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a Kansas DOT project.
Very cool.
A couple of counties in and around the Twin Cities area, New York. We drive New York twice a year. We've been doing that for about 3 or 4 years now. They capture imagery every 6 months.
Kind of a different scale.
Pardon?
Kind of a different scale.
Just a different scale, exactly. Yeah. A lot of our clients will capture probably every 2 years, 2 to 4 years. A lot of it, particularly if it's an assessment-oriented project, they'll match that with their reassessment cycle. Other jurisdictions, particularly more on the public works, there's usually routine or regular asset review work timelines. Particularly with Department of Transportations, they have to do pavement condition every 2 to 4 years. So it just depends on how they want to do that. And I know that happens also within municipalities as well. So then you can track down the status or the rating, the scale, kind of give a road segment some type of a rating based on information details, and then start doing some project planning. Here's a good
Can you
example.
look at
It looks like
historical images also? So like you're looking right here at July 22nd. Can you get the ones that were done like in Mason City 5 years ago and 10 years ago? It's been quite a while in Mason City.
yeah. So right now there's a car in the way. So a good example of that is, so you see the different colors of capture points.
Okay.
Those are 2 different years. So I believe one of my solutions guys does this. He will change this from, and you'll actually see the banner change.
Okay, because that adds a lot more use to it also, just having the historical
Exactly.
perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, I've only got a couple of different years here in Mason City, so don't really see that dramatic. I don't have many places reserved for that. So every image has its date timestamp. It has a unique identifier
Well, very
for the actual, what we call a geocyclorama,
Oh,
which
looks like
is
we
the
lost Bill.
360-degree image. So you can measure, you can look straight up if you want. There's a unique ID for each of those. It gives you your location information, coordinate information, horizontal and vertical, and then gives you precision information as well for every image that's captured. You can add in different layers. There is this something called a 3D cursor that we have. This actually drapes over the surface so that you can get accurate measurements. This helps identify where your accurate measurements as well. We'll see how that kind of ebbs and flows over the surface so that you can get measurements there as well.
Very cool.
And then you've got
Any more
your
questions for Bill?
no more questions?
All right. Well, thanks, Bill, for showing this. I, for one, was a little unfamiliar with this technology, and it's very 2021 GIS.
It's the next. It's the next. Hopefully, I at least I think so. It's the next. It's a new perspective, in imagery and asset and data capture.
Wonderful.
So, any final questions?
Before we
Thank you,
leave,
everybody. Really appreciate the time, and happy GIS Day.
thanks, Bill. Before we leave, in the chat, I sent a link out. Our next Lunch and Learn will be December 15th at noon. Amy and Penny will be talking about their trip out to Utah and the Iowa and Utah exchange we're doing with conferences. Josh, I think you were going to throw out the link. Do you have that at your fingertips? Anybody who's joined us and is not a member of IGIC and would like to be added to the IGIC email list, you can go to the IGIC website and there's a form to fill out, and that'll get you signed up. And then you'll get all the emails that tell you everything that we're doing and just things that we're scheduling. Be looking for future emails. So one of the things I'd like to put a plug in January, we are Lunch and Learn is going to be like a showcase, a show and tell. I like the word show and tell because that's like low pressure, you know. Think of back to middle school or probably elementary school show and tell where you just want to show something neat. So we'd like to kind of call this a 2020 year in the review show and tell. And so I'm looking for 8 to 10 people that might like to take 5 minutes, low pressure, very casual, and show something they've been working on or a problem they've solved or just a neat little map that they've been working or that they've accomplished. I'll be sending out a brief little form just to collect names and information to organize it. And so I encourage anybody, like I say, we're talking 5 minutes. So it doesn't have to be anything overly complicated, but I think it would be really great for us to all see the little things that we're working on day to day. And you may think that your one little project is nothing to write home about, but I promise you, we are very interested in seeing what we're all doing in our day jobs. And sometimes there's not enough content to really fill a whole 45 minutes to an hour. So this is a great way to generate discussion. Or maybe you've done something and you've gotten to a certain point and you're like, I want to show people because I think it can go further. And now is the time to crowdsource those ideas. So be looking out. I'll be sending that out in the next couple of days to organize that. Josh, you got anything you want to add?
Nope, just the links in the chat there
Gosh.
for the email form.
Oh, there it is. Yep, it was right before the one I sent. I had it on a small screen, so I didn't see your link. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, there's the link that you can join and officially get on the IGIC email list. And so in January, we will have a board meeting, our winter board meeting, and a lunch and learn. So there'll be 2 Wednesdays, at the last 2 Wednesdays of January. I think we're doing the board meeting the 3rd week, and we're going to move the lunch and learn to the 4th week. Kind of get a little further away from those holidays. Anyone else have anything else they would like to add before we all go back to real life? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And like I said, we'll be sending out a video of this and be looking for those information on the next lunch and learning meetings. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Micah. You're great as always.